All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a fascinating paradox, one that really gets to the heart of what leadership is. We're all taught that empathy is absolutely key, right? But what if a certain kind of powerful, decisive leadership actually sees empathy as a weakness? We're about to look at some surprising data that might just challenge everything you think you know about what it means to be a strong leader. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the paradox itself. Then, we'll get into the psychology of this powerful mindset. After that, we'll explore where this command style actually works, look at the trade-offs, and then wrap it all up by asking what real strength in a leader truly looks like. Okay, first things first. Let's start with what we all kind of take for granted, the conventional wisdom, before we throw a wrench in the works with a single piece of data that flips the whole idea on its head. So, picture a great leader. Chances are, the word empathetic comes to mind pretty quickly. You know, that ability to connect with your team, to understand them, to really feel what they're going through, it's seen as the gold standard, the very foundation of trust and collaboration in any modern team. But then, research gives us this number. Out of a global poll with thousands of people from nearly 100 countries, we get this, well, slightly unsettling correlation. It shows a negative relationship, that's what the minus sign means, between valuing empathy and a very specific, power-focused mindset. Let's be really clear about what that number is telling us. It means the more a leader is wired for power, for dominance, for getting results right now, the less they care about empathy. It's not just a nice-to-have they ignore. For them, it's actually an obstacle. It gets in the way. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? What is going on here? This isn't just a slightly different leadership style. It's like a completely different operating system. So why on earth would connecting with your team be seen as a liability? To answer that, we've got to decode the mindset that's driving this whole thing. Now, to really get our heads around this, we're going to borrow an idea from a psychological framework called spiral dynamics. Don't worry, you don't need to know all the jargon. We're just focusing on one specific value system it talks about, which is often called the red mindset. So this red thing is not just a personality type. It's a whole worldview. Think of it as a mindset that is hardwired for asserting power, getting immediate results, and dominating a situation through sheer force of will. It actually thrives in chaotic environments. Think of an ER surgeon or a battlefield commander, places where a moment's hesitation is not an option. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. You're looking at two totally different logics for leadership, clashing right here. On one side, you've got the red worldview. Results are everything, feelings are secondary. Leadership is about command and control. On the other side, the empathetic view, connection is how you build trust and support. These two approaches aren't just a little different, they're fundamentally at odds. And this right here is the absolute core of it. From that red perspective, pausing the mission to ask, hey, how's everyone feeling about this, isn't team building. It's friction. It's an emotional detour that slows things down when the only thing that matters is taking decisive action right now. Okay, so is this just some abstract psychological theory? No, not at all. Let's look at the real-world situations where this kind of command, not comfort approach isn't just an idea, it's a practice that gets results. And you see proof of this everywhere. A study from UC Berkeley found that when a crisis hits, dominant leaders actually get more cooperation from their team. It's literally built into personality models like DISC, where that D style is all about thriving under pressure. And of course, you see it in the real world, from the clear command structure in the military to that move fast and break things mantra of a tech startup. This quote just nails the red worldview. The logic is simple. When the building is on fire, you don't need a group therapy session. You need a firefighter who tells you exactly where to go. You need someone who cuts through all the panic and the noise and just gives clear, direct orders. So why do they reject empathy so strongly? It's not just a whim. It all comes down to a really pragmatic, maybe even ruthless calculation of psychological pain versus tactical gain. You have to understand, from their point of view, the pain is real. Being told to be more empathetic feels like being told to drop your sword in the middle of a battle. It's disarming. It feels like people are mistaking compassion for actual competence. Meanwhile, the gain of their direct approach is crystal clear to them. Unapologetic, decisive action creates momentum and gives people clarity right when they need it most. But, and this is a huge but, this is the critical turning point, we have to look at the trade-offs. That command-style leadership is built for the short-term win. You get people to comply, usually out of fear. You get quick results from intimidation. but here's the thing. Decades of research are crystal clear on this. Empathetic leadership wins the long game, every time. It builds the kind of psychological safety that allows for real innovation, and it creates resilient teams that don't need a dictator to perform.
And this leads us to this beautiful little irony, the power paradox. The very thing this red mindset sees as a weakness, empathy, is actually the source of the most sustainable, real power there is. And why is that? Because power that is taken by force is always fragile, but influence that is given to you by a team that chooses to follow you, that is unbreakable.
So where does that leave us with all this? Look, the point isn't to say one style is good and the other is bad. The real takeaway here is that we probably need to expand our definition of what it means to be a strong leader.
You see, the red worldview's rejection of empathy isn't some kind of moral failure. You can think of it more like a cognitive blind spot. It's a developmental inability to see the whole picture. This mindset confuses dominance with effectiveness, and it mistakes fear for genuine respect. It fails to recognize that empathy is actually one of the most powerful strategic tools a leader can possibly have.
So the ultimate insight here is that the strongest leaders aren't just commanders, and they aren't just listeners. Real strength is about integration. It's having the wisdom to be decisive when things are chaotic, but also having the empathy to connect with your team when you're building for the future. It's about having a full toolbox and knowing exactly which tool is right for the moment.
Which leaves us with one final, and I think pretty provocative question. In our big push to champion empathy, are we maybe forgetting that sometimes what a team needs most isn't another discussion, but a clear, firm decision? The answer isn't simple, and it's a powerful reminder that great leadership is always about context. Thanks for digging into this with us.